Time for us to go viral. The Warriors are going to be without Steph Curry through the weekend, still dealing with that groin injury. But while KD and Draymond clash, it appears Steph has found a new line of work. Steph and his tattoo artist switched roles, with Steph grabbing the ink and tattooing his signature on the artist's leg. He later promised Steph on social media he wouldn't sell his leg on eBay.
What are you doing, guy? What are you doing? Not Steph, the fella who now has a tattoo. I mean, I guess he's got a lot of tattoos. What
do you mean? First of all, can I just tell the audience something? I have no doubt that if CeCe came up to you and said, hey, man,
watch it.
I want to tattoo something on your leg. You'd be like,
hey, wait. That ain't on CC brand. No. Put that other example. Jenna. Michael,
okay, that was
listen. First of all, Jenna just wanted to throw her leg up on the table. Like we're some burlesque. That's first of all. Second of all, what are you talking about?
Oh, come on, Nick. 100%. If CeCe seriously came up to you.
Jenna,
tell me.
Okay?
Yeah.
If I'm going to put my autograph on something, I need a better canvas.
Oh.
How do I take all these L's on this?
Sorry,
this is... I'm going to reveal confidence is left and right. If you don't right now look into the camera
and dial that back,
I retract that statement.
I so much want to. I really want to dial it back.
What's your pre-show routine?
Anyway.
What's the pre-show routine? I will reveal. Look into the camera and
you know what? Just for sake of whatever it is, I'm going to dial it back.
Good job. Yeah.
All right, time for stories to start your morning.
Yes.
Love you guys.
Hair raised up on your arm there for a moment,
brought to you by the unexpected energy of ExxonMobil. LeBron James making his return to Cleveland when the Lakers face the Cavs tonight. J.R. Smith recently saying this Cavs team, they're tanking as the team's looking to trade him. Nick, did the Cavs take LeBron for granted now that you've seen what they did this year?
I don't think his teammates did. I don't think the fans did. I think the only person who mattered did, though, Dan Gilbert. Dan Gilbert last year said he was excited to take control of his team back, told everyone that would listen, hey, buy your tickets. Get your season tickets now. We're going to compete for the playoffs. Kevin Love, stay. We're going to compete for the playoffs. You're going to compete for the worst record in basketball, just like you did the year before LeBron got there and the year after LeBron left the first time.
It's no doubt. They definitely took him for granted. You make a great point. The fans didn't. The fans, I believe, have been more than fair when LeBron came back there. It's unfortunate. We see this in sports. Sometimes you have a great player, one of the greatest ever, and the ownership around them, they don't support him that way. Michael Jordan, man, we know he won 6. He could have won 7, 8, 9. But they had some issues there. That's what forced him out of Chicago also, Jenna.
All right, moving on to the NFL now. Mitchell Trubisky is playing through some pain. Head coach Matt Nagy optimistic that Trubisky will be good to go against the Lions Thursday with a shoulder injury. CeCe, how worrisome is it for the Bears if their quarterback isn't healthy?
Well, it's worrisome because he's been inconsistent throwing the football, but he is a running threat, Nick. So a lot of times when you have a guy that's going to utilize his legs and you realize, man, if I get through this Thanksgiving, I kind of got a mini bye, so I got some extended time. This is important. Divisional game. I believe sometimes you try to win your teammates over. In a divisional game like this, you play with an injury maybe that you wouldn't play with. And I think that Trubisky should be trying to do that on Thanksgiving, Nick.
With that said, they are in a position no team has ever been in league history. And I know it's just a matter of hours, but they played Sunday night. They now play Thursday at 12:30 on the road. This is the fewest hours between NFL games any team's ever dealt with. So if you are dealing with an injury, it's going to be very difficult to beat.
Now, the league did throw him a little solid. It's one of the shortest trips, being from Chicago to Detroit. That's a short little
Bears
puddle jumper.
Yes.
4 in a row. For those who don't believe in a Super Bowl hangover, take a look at the Eagles. Philly got steamrolled by the Saints 48-7. The worst loss by defending Super Bowl champ ever. Eagles now sit at 4-6, slowly watching their playoff hopes slip away. Here's Philly safety Malcolm Jenkins on his team's lackluster performance.
It was just embarrassing, quite frankly. It was one of those things that I didn't feel like as a team we had a lot of fight. I'd rather get thrown out of a game than just lay down and take it. And, it was a ton of frustrations. One being, obviously me going back to New Orleans, that's a game that meant a lot to me, but just the demeanor of the team really bothered me. And then just the frustration of having guys that you work hard with and spend a lot of time with get injured. It's just a rough day overall, but at this point in time, we need to figure out some things about ourselves.
What do you mean?
When a team jumps on you like the Saints did and things gets rolling, you find out a lot about yourself. Whether you're going to get blown out regardless. You're either going to get blown out swinging or you're going to get blown out laying down. And I think you had a little bit of both. I think as leaders of the team, we need to nip in the butt because we're, at that moment where we can't carry non-essential personnel. Not to say that there are guys that aren't playing hard or there are guys that aren't giving it what they got. We just need every drop of it at this point, and we're going to demand that from the top of the roster all the way to the bottom.
See, what do you think about what Malcolm Jenkins said?
Well, Malcolm, and this is the truth about the NFL, that losing is very difficult. And when you win, the things you see, the things are going wrong, you cover over them, you gel over them. But when you lose, man, it's painful. Like I've always been taught, you don't get paid in this league to play. You get paid to win. And man, you can be embarrassed, you can be humiliated, even being a great player like Malcolm Jenkins is. And he's a high performer. He's been a high performer in high school, here in New Jersey, a great athlete, went to Ohio State, great there, captain there. Drafted by the Saints, won a championship there. Unfortunately, they didn't sign him. Sean Payton says that's one of the missteps that they've had from a personnel department. Probably one of the biggest mistakes that him and Mickey Lomas has made since they've been there was Malcolm leaving. But you could see that he got humiliated. It's 4th down. Sean Payton and them up by 30.
Yeah.
They go for it, throw a touchdown pass against him. And his reaction, man, he flipped them to number 1. And it wasn't your number 1. It's, I'm humiliated, I'm embarrassed. And the rest of the organization, they got to be embarrassed by this performance. Oh, they bragged all season. The coach wrote a book. Now, we had guys sit here. Oh, man, it's great in Philadelphia, man. How they support the players. Yeah, what they do in New England. Yeah, they don't have a good time. We have a good time. Hey, how good of a time are they having right now? Right at 4-6. And they still got a chance to be able to salvage their season because it's a unique year. But what Malcolm Jenkins, that's the leadership speaking. Forget what Doug Peterson, what he's been saying. Malcolm Jenkins is one of the leaders there. There's a reason why. We haven't heard from Lane lately because their leaders aren't speaking. At least Malcolm, he did put a name to the voice, and that should be how the locker room should feel.
And listen, while after the bye, I thought their season could go this way and ended up going this way. They're 2 worst as far as most, I think, emotionally, and then in the Saints game, physically devastating game to the season, where they're 2 games after the bye. Despite all that, because what Steve mentioned, because they're in the NFC East, because Alex Smith broke his leg, because the Cowboys can't throw the football, they're very alive. Their next 3 games are against divisional opponents, Giants, Washington, Dallas. Like, if they get it turned, if they win 3 in a row, and I know that's, for a team that's 4-6, that's a tall task to ask, but they're right there. They win 3 in a row, they could be in first place in the division in 3 weeks. And what I believe is, because of what I know about Malcolm Jenkins, my guess is this is a message he has shared privately that he is now going public with. I think one thing that's unfair that we do with athletes or coaches at times is we hear them say something and we just say, well, why didn't you go to the person? Why didn't you just keep it in-house? And sometimes that's a very fair criticism. But sometimes the answer is, man, I did that. I tried that, and it wasn't working. I tried to go to these guys individually, and they didn't respond. So now I'm doing everything other than naming names, because I think this is break glass in case of emergency. This is last resort stuff for a team whose house is on fire, and they're trying to put it out and salvage the season.
But it's not as if Malcolm wasn't aware of the pitfalls of winning. He's one of the few guys that got some Super Bowl experience before what happened in Philly. He won Super Bowl in New Orleans. And from the beginning, remember they started putting the banners up in the locker room, the world champs? This was before the season. He told them, no, we're not defending that. Like, we can't do that every day. So he was up on this. He realized what was happening, and these are some of the things. It's hard to repeat in the NFL more than the other major league sports. And the reason why the schedule is that way, the reason why, because of parity, and because the reason why, man, every week teams are gunning for you and to be able to take that crown away from you. And that's what the Eagles didn't know about that they thought they did.
All right, time now for a new segment. Call it Nick Makes a List.
Okay.
This is the first you're hearing of this, Nick?
We're going to add this to the show. We're going to give Nick a chance, and he's always, when I come here, he's like my wife. Hey, I'm going to the grocery store. I got a list for you. No, just tell me what you need. So Nick is great at lists. This is our first try at this, Nick.
America, let me just, a little backstory. Nick loves lists. Everything is a list. CC isn't so sure. He plays along.
Nah.
Nick, you were inspired by Monday Night Football. All right, so what list did you come up with after watching that game?
There are 7 teams right now that can win the Super Bowl. 7 and 7 only. Don't listen to people's top 10s, top 8s like I like. There are 7 teams. I'm going to go from the bottom up.
Why 7?
Why? Because those don't.
Because you really believe that.
Because these are the 7.
So my list will vary. You'll have sometime 3, sometime 5.
We might have a top 14 players in the NBA. I dropped that list on Blake Griffin once.